During the week preceding the J&B Met, I had an appointment to meet Joe RAMSDEN at his racing stables called Good Hope Racing at 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. But when I got there, all I saw was this luxury German sports car hurtling down the road, and Joe phoning me to tell me that he would rather conduct the interview for the winner's circle in the luxury of his home rather than in the humdrum of the racing stable, which I really appreciated. And the first question that I posed to him was about his former colleague David Ferraris and his current colleague Michael de Kock, both champion trainers in their own right, being spoken about in the same breath as him.
Yeah, well, I suppose I mentioned myself in the same breath as them. No one else yet has done. But no, we had a lot of fun sort of growing up together, and it really was just growing up at Turfentine together. David was, and probably still is, the same highly intensive man that he is today, and Mike probably still the same amount of fun.
Joe, if my memory serves me correctly, there's no doubt that Ormond Ferraris played a huge role in the life of Michael de Kock and, of course, his son David.
Ormond Ferraris was, he was the godfather of Turfentine, if you like to say it. And we're talking now, 22, 23 years ago, and he's probably still the godfather today, all that time, all along, David's gone on, he came down to Cape Town and did brilliantly, and then went back up to Johannesburg and did even better. And then, now is a major success in Hong Kong, and Mike is obviously very, very well documented. And three people whose lives have taken sort of very different sort of courses along the way, I think what probably sums it up all about the sort of wackiness is that if you were to say that, if you were to ask when Mike de Kock's birthday is and were told that it was on Valentine's Day, that really probably says it all.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't really associate Michael de Kock immediately as being a romantic. But be that as it may, my job as a journalist is to try and get people outside of the sport of horse racing to understand that it is in fact a sport, despite the fact that it's a very big industry and creates a lot of jobs for people on the periphery and internally. But the bottom line is, if you take a look at the staple sports like cricket, rugby, soccer, tennis, golf, Formula One, motor racing, people know a lot about the people that participate in those sports, whether it's Ernie Els or Tiger Woods, or whether it's Bafana, or whatever the case may be. But my goal is to try and take people behind the scenes and show them more about the life of a racehorse trainer. What's your feeling on that particular endeavour?
Yeah, well, I think very much that horse racing fundamentally is a sport, and sadly, the betting detracts from the fact that it is very much, a human and animal sport. Where else do you get, that sort of synergy of two people together? There's 11 footballers and 15 rugby players and a caddy and a golfer. But with us, there's the animal, there's the fellow that looks after it, the fellow that owns it, there's the vet, there's the racehorse trainer, there's the jockey. And you have to get all those elements and get them to come together on that one big day and just get it right. Some with it's easy, with Variety Club, others it's not so easy with Bravura. They've all got their own little quirks and abilities, and certain things have to be right on the day. And I think we've been reminded with Black Caviar and Frankel this year, and maybe a little bit with Variety Club, and I wouldn't dare mention them in the same sort of breath as the other two, but what a great sport it is, what a colourful sport it is, and it is just the most amazing image, whether it be Variety Club running against the backdrop of Table Mountain, and the other two running against the great sights of Royal Ascot.
Yeah, Joe, heroes. When you think of the great horses that belong to history, horses like Sea Cottage, Wolf Power, Politician, Horse Chestnut, Jetmaster, Pocket Power, JJ the Jet Plane, Igugu, Empress Club. There's just been a whole host of great horses that should have been household names in South Africa, if indeed the media covered horse racing to the extent that it covers the other staple sports. What's your take on the media coverage of horse racing?
Yeah, I think they should very much be South African household names, as the aforementioned horses were just magnificent beasts. They were beautiful, beautiful animals, and their records would just speak for themselves. I don't know, the only way to prove yourself is to go on the international stage. Horse Chestnut went and did it, and I don't think people realise the amazing achievements of Horse Chestnut. I know people will always think of him in South Africa winning the Met, the Derby, the Triple Crown and everything else. He went overseas and won that one race. It was just, that was a truly, truly great achievement. And I bet if you were to ask his pilot Mike Smith as to where you'd rate him. I bet he'd come fairly high up those echelons. I hope we get Variety Club out to show people, you know, how good he is. But it's not easy, and but we'll keep on trying.
The fact that Variety Club is not going to be participating in this year's JMB Met with good reason means that he's probably going to have a break. Is it a fact of life that when he goes to a farm to be let down, he's completely let down, and when he's in the yard, he's there to work?
Very, very much so. You know, if he's in, he's in. If he's out, he's out. He doesn't get ridden. He doesn't get anything. And you know, it's not just a case of just out and he's out for 20 minutes. He's out all day, 8 or 9 hours a day, and then comes back in. And he comes back in, and he has bite marks, chew marks all over him. I have to say, I don't think I'd want to take him on these days. And he goes out very much on his own. But in the past, he'd go out with a couple of others. But now, sadly, with his value and everything else, he just goes out on his own. But literally, when we sent him out after the Durban season, he went to Net Doors at near Summerfelt at Highgate, who did just the most wonderful job. I think when I send them out, I have to say, it's like anything. You know, when we employ the vet, the farrier, the jockey, I feel very much it's their job from there on in. You know, it's up to them to get it right, like people give it to me to get it right. You know, the buck always stops with me, and so I don't think about it, but I think poor old Annette thought about it a lot, but she did an amazing job, and he came back looking fantastic. And to be fair, he's come back and probably had the season of his life. He's come back a better horse as a 4-year-old than maybe he was at 3.
Joe, the decision not to run Variety Club in this year's JMB Met must have been a very, very difficult decision to take for all of Marcus Jooste, Derek Brugman, yourself, Anton Marcus, the team that play an integral role in the well-being and the long-term plan for this great horse.
We were asked to put our opinions forward, and we did that, and I was in favour of running. But likewise, Marcus is exceptionally fond of this horse. He has an emotional feeling for him, and he's really what gets Marcus's blood going. Excellence is what gets his blood going. And ultimately, I think both Anton, myself, and Derek very much played his cards close to his chest. We both felt we'd like to have a go at it, but ultimately it was Marcus's decision. And if Marcus felt that it wasn't the right thing to do, or he didn't want to do it, then we were cool by it. And and when Marcus gave his decision, for me, it was almost like a weight off my back. I said to Marcus that whatever your choice is, I respect. I'm not going to sit around moping or saying it was the right or wrong choice. You know, the right choice was that Marcus made it, and that's all that matters.